Pacific Time. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Diana Bogan, and I am a Faculty Development and Coaching Specialist with UAGC. I will be the host of this session, Service Learning as a High Impact Practice at the UAGC Honors Program. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we do encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, just click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to Drs. Clifford Blizzard and Chris Foster, both lead faculty in the Academic Engagement Center within the College of Arts and Sciences here at UAGC. Dr. Blizzard also serves as the point of contact for the Honors Program, and both of our presenters serve on the Honors Advisory Board. Go ahead and take it away, boys.
All right, here we go. Our presentation is Service Learning as a High Impact Practice in the UAGC Honors Program. Clifford, you want to introduce the Honors Program for us?
Certainly, I'll do the honors. I'm grateful to be here today and joined by my most esteemed colleague, Chris. And the Honors Program began actually just last year in July of 2021, when the Honors College, which had previously existed and consisted of a 6-class sequence that students could take as 3 classes or 6 classes, was replaced with the Honors Program, which is a sequence of 3 classes and the addition of 15 hours of co-curricular activities. And the Honors Learning Community Space was set up in Canvas as well, so that students in the Honors Program have a more continuous sense of experience of the Honors Program. It's not just something that's broken into discrete courses, but is an ongoing experience for all students enrolled. The 4 pillars of the Honors Program really underlie all of the courses and all the experiences in the program, and they consist of leadership, innovation, civic responsibility, and global perspective. Another key facet of the Honors Program that really is a vital spirit within it is service learning. And Chris will share that with you.
Yeah, Clifford and I implemented service learning originally in Honors 270, thinking critically about global issues, and then added to Honors 280, society, power, and responsibility. And we felt that, or it was really Clifford's spearhead to put it in there, and felt that this was a way for students to learn in a way that was engaging and memorable, and that would cause the content to go deep into their soul, and not just to remember the material, but actually to have it change their lives. So, and that's been our experience so far. So we're going to share our results. Oh, and I skipped that Honors 490 service learning will be added in 2023.
And we'll say a little bit more about that at the very end of our talk. So
sure, yeah.
What is service learning? What are the benefits of service learning? Why do it? And at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that it's deeply engaging and meaningful. And there's this phrase out there, something is academic. And it's kind of funny because it's sometimes used to suggest not really relevant, not really important. That's one of the definitions out there of academic. But what if we're going beyond merely learning about things to taking action and making a difference in the world? And that is what makes service learning so exciting to me. It offers students real-world experiences and the opportunity to apply the knowledge and skills. And it's considered a high-impact practice. It's uniquely effective in fostering student engagement in higher education. It can be implemented in a couple different ways. The standard design, both in bricks and mortar schools and also online, is to have it span at least a course, or if not longer. And then, according to Straight and Nordyke in 2015, that would be classified as transformational service learning. They then separated out the idea of service learning as short-term tasks or tasks that would be embedded within a course, and said that's merely transactional. That isn't transformational. So it was in that context that we embarked on our efforts to explore what is classified by them as transactional service learning in our classroom. Transformational service learning has been studied at depth and has been shown to be very effective. Transactional service learning has really never been examined as far as we could see. And that was the goal of our study, was to find out, well, is it really so much less than transformational service learning? Chris?
So we did a qualitative investigation. What are the experiences of students completing service learning projects in UAGC honors? In honors 280, student discussion posts and papers are about their projects. Got 153 samples so far, and then honors 270 student papers about their projects. And then we have an analysis which we coded and found emerging themes. The first
So what
theme,
did we find?
Yeah.
Well, one thing we found was that students enjoyed doing it, basically. They felt good by doing it because it was worthwhile. One student wrote, after completing my active civic engagement, I felt great and like I have made a difference in my community. Another student mentioned, when I reflect on all the lives that have been bettered and people I've helped, it gives me a good feeling. While I cannot save the whole world, I can do my part and have an impact on others.
next theme, I have stepped out of myself and into community. Engaged community members are essential for community work towards a common goal, to influence change, to produce a positive difference. The call to civic action engagement allowed me to experience even more profound empathy for my community.
I've learned something new about the world that's opened my eyes. And here the emphasis is that the content goes beyond being merely new information, but being information that has a transformational aspect to it. One student remarked, "It opened a whole new world for me concerning community involvement. I never knew that you could call or write your local representative. I will certainly use this public service a lot more now that I have been exposed to it."
Next theme, I am empowered to be a voice for change. What I have learned from this experience is that despite being just one person among millions in this country, every one of us has the potential to be heard and the resources to be heard. Anyone can participate in civic engagement. Many of us, myself included, carry this attitude that we are insignificant and can't be heard. This is far from the truth. The reason nothing gets done is because a majority of us feel this exact same way. If we became more civically engaged, who knows what kind of difference we can make in our community and or our nation.
The fifth of the 6 themes we saw were, I have overcome fears and stepped outside of my comfort zone. And we're actually now using that model of comfort zone to help students identify what a meaningful service project is. So one student remarked, "At first I was afraid to engage, as I have really never performed an active engagement. I did not know what I would do or who I would talk to about my issue. I was challenged to do something that can affect change for my community. The project led me to seek out my local government officials. I now have knowledge of who my legislators are and how to reach out to them. Pride about who I am as an American citizen."
Here we go. The next theme is, I will continue with this work. Quote, "While there are moments where I feel that there is nothing I can do to help spark a change, this petition is the beginning of a new mindset where I will stand up for what I believe in and seek ways to challenge injustices. Not only will I sign petitions, but I'd like to take part in personal interactions, attend meetings, join campaigns, and do more for my community that I never thought to do before." I think that speaks to the transformational nature of some of the students' experiences.
So what topics did the students explore? And the exciting thing to report is that the topics were wide ranging. And justice was a common theme. And I think we can see in the dominant themes here a lot of the things that have really been central in the news and in the hearts and minds of us, of folks, particularly in the United States, over the past few years. So justice was really important. Poverty was really important. We talk about our culture of care and recognizing that a lot of students themselves have direct experience with poverty, and a lot of them were motivated by that to do additional, to do work in that area. The environment, and then a bunch of others: drugs, education, ethical issues, immigration, guns, safety, a wide variety of concerns.
Here's some examples of actions, types of actions that students took, including contacting government, letters to community members, organizing an event, promoting public awareness, and some students took no action, a small minority of students. This is data from Honors 280. We also had data from Honors 270, but it was a much smaller N value because the course had very recently incorporated service learning when we tabulated the data. There was more focus in there in environmental issues and also some direct action type of projects. So that's the basic idea of our students are engaged in a lot of really cool things. And here are some examples. This is from my Honors 270 class, where I mentioned there was a lot more focus on environmental issues. This student, the one pictured in the middle, she decided to take on climate change, and she organized a tree planting at work. Not only do trees, of course, absorb carbon, but they planted an orange tree with the resolve to eat the oranges and thereby, helping the environment further by eating locally from their own tree and not from big ag. And she even got her company to pay for it as a team building exercise. So this was a fully funded and fully fun activity that she really enjoyed. Here's another example. This was one of my students who is concerned about economic inequality, and also in a very specific way when it came to the technological divide, where people who have fewer resources sometimes have a lot less access to computers and the internet, which of course is a significant disadvantage in this day and age. So this student decided to take action. She looked up researched a bunch of resources where people can get free computers or discounted or funding for it, as well as same for internet, where people could get free or discounted internet, or government programs to help people get internet access. And so she created flyers. She made them in English on one side and Spanish on the other side. And as you can see, she posted them around her community, and she was just so excited thinking about the differences that these flyers might make without her even being there to watch it happen. Here's another student who wanted to take on the burning of the Brazilian rainforest, wrote a letter to the Assistant Secretary of the Western Hemisphere. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But I want you to know that this wasn't just an opinion letter. This is a well-researched letter that involved scholarly research and was very well written and poignant, and I hope maybe made an impact. And then we had other students who did direct volunteering in their community. And the student wrote that she loved to volunteer and will continue in the future. Her action at a food distribution event allowed her to see the importance of giving a helping hand and how it can lead to a change in the community. Her action helped her to see the importance of getting actively involved in the community instead of just sitting back and complaining. And her action inspired her to stay involved in the community because it can leave a positive impact on society. Clifford.
And before I go into next steps, I'll add that one of the things that's exciting about Honors 270 is the students present to each other. So they share what they've done. These presentations Chris just shared with you were presentations the students made to give to each other, so that everyone would get a sense of all the things that have been done and get a sense of the collective possibility as well. So where are we going with, where does this go? Well, we have, as I mentioned before, an honors learning community space in Canvas. And I've added additional spaces there where students can create additional PowerPoints where they effectively document what they've done on projects since leaving Honors 270 or 280. Many of the students at the end of the course report additional plans, One of them actually had planned a meeting with a state representative to see about changes. The state representative was actually going to meet with this person to talk about the issue they were raising. And these kinds of things now the students can bring back and share with us that they've done. That's just getting underway. We're working on encouraging people to do that. We've had one student take us up on that so far, but the PowerPoints the students create count toward their required additional co-curricular activities expectation. So it's part of that within their honors program requirements. We hope to do a future UFP project funded. UFP is in-house grant program, and we're looking at doing that possibly even this next round in late 2023, doing a project surveying past honor students to get a sense of the long-term impacts of their experiences. Many students, as you saw, reported that they've stepped outside their comfort zone and they felt empowered to make a difference. They wanted to continue doing that. What actually happens 2 or 3 years down the line? Are many of those students still doing service actions inspired by what they did in these courses, or is the effect dampened over time? We're also keen to enhance both classes with additional resources and guidance to help students choose effective action. One thing some students struggle with a bit is figuring out, what can I realistically do? It's a big ask to students to say, there's a 5-week class. At the end of the course, you need to have done something. You have 5 weeks, not even that really. By the time they get the idea, they've got about 2 or 3 weeks to figure out what to do and do it. And the thing that just blows me away every time I teach this course is that they rise to the challenge. Almost all of them rise to the challenge. As you saw, a few of the students end up not doing a project, but by and large, almost all of them come through and do something really, really powerful and amazing. So to that end, we now have honors service learning in 2 of the 3 courses. We are about to begin work on Honors 490 I'll be joined by Dr. Charles Holmes here at UAGC. And the plan is to implement a multi-week service learning project in that course where students will collaborate on small teams within the class to address a problem relevant to honor students as a whole and create some sort of digital artifact that they will then present in a live evening event. They will present to the honors program. And those artifacts will then be housed in the learning community so that the ultimate sort of rite of passage, if you will, in the honors program in that last course will be an act of giving, working together and then giving to others. So I'm really excited about these changes.
Finally, well, this isn't the last slide, but basically our thesis statement is that we discovered that so-called transactional service learning can itself be transformational. And we know that it is because we've witnessed it in our students. And I'm going to share a couple of examples from students. Oh, but before I share the examples, Clifford, go ahead.
Yes, we offer as well a few lessons learned, as it were, for how to implement a quote unquote transactional service learning project most effectively in our experience thus far. One I already mentioned is to encourage students to step outside their comfort zone. You know, there's a lot to that intrinsic motivation to challenge by choice, but to really encourage them, you know, wow, what can you, whatever you do, you're going to get more out of it if you really push yourself. If you've already written letters to congressmen, for instance, don't consider something different. Consider something you haven't done before. We also encourage students to be accountable by having them share their experience with each other. So that further enhances the likelihood that the students are going to push themselves a bit in these projects. We also use a reflective component. Students journal and reflect about their experiences. And that metacognitive piece is so powerful in sort of solidifying and affirming the power of this experience for the student. Chris?
And here are a couple of student examples.
My name is Shanti.
And you hear that?
Just completed Honors 270. This course was enlightening, thought-provoking, and very fulfilling as I was able to critically assess global issues, give back to my community with my friends, and understand that the improvement of our communities is a personal responsibility that each
Okay, sorry.
individual shares.
Was everybody able to hear that? Oops.
Yes.
Oh, good, good. I was worried about sometimes you can't hear my computer. So excellent. And we have another student on the next slide.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and I was a student in Honors 280 in October of 2021. At the time, the Texas Heartbeat Act, the legislation that aimed to ban abortion at the first sign of a fetal heartbeat, had a heavy presence in the news. And so it seemed only logical to do my active civil engagement project on women's reproductive rights. And while I knew that this was something that was important to me, I didn't expect to enjoy and cultivate so much passion through action. For example, I participated in the Women's March protest that occurred that year. I shared a lot of information on social media and had some good conversations there. And I also donated to an organization in Texas that funded travel for those who couldn't receive the healthcare that they needed in Texas at the time. And so Honors 280 really taught me that we can make a difference through our actions and our intentions. And I would really encourage students in the future of Honors 280 to pick a topic that they already have an interest in, and then prepare to discover that they can absolutely make a difference in the world. Sometimes it's easy to feel like the world's big and we're small, but actions and intentions really do make a difference. And that's what that course taught me. And I really appreciate it. So thank you.
There are our sources. And I just want to say before we go to the Q&A that, you know, a lot of our students do experience some sort of stress or deciding what to do or feeling like this. I mean, I know I have in the past, like felt like, oh no, I have to actually do something. But then they, as Clifford pointed out, they step out of their comfort zone and actually do it. And think of what that means in terms of learning. They didn't just learn the content, they learned that they can do something about it. And that it's almost part of the learning itself is learning to do something, to learn it's our responsibility to do so, to learn that it's in our capacity to do so, and to learn that it's fun to do so. And a lot of the students really want to change their lives in corresponding ways. So that's our presentation. Thank you for listening. We are open to any questions. And in particular, you can let us know if you've had any experiences with service learning projects online. And if so, what was the context and what did they involve? We'd love to hear about your experiences. And then, is there anything you're thinking you could do to integrate service learning into a class that you teach or develop? I'll stop sharing and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
And Chris, you do have one question here from Sherry Ketchum. She asked, what are the distinctions between transaction versus transformation in your research? Is it more about time commitment or product versus results?
Well, I'll take that one straight in Nordyke. First of all, it's the only study I've seen that has made a distinction. I think it's important to say that while we kind of set this up and then sort of attack it, if you as you were with our results. In point of fact, it's not widely used. But I think it is interesting. In light, when we started the study, we couldn't find a lot of examples of any studies looking at these kinds of short-term projects. And every book, every source we read talked about service learning. Well, if you want to do service learning, it needs to be this course-long kind of thing. So, and it really comes down to time. It comes down to the idea that the students need to be deeply invested in something. They need to be doing it repeatedly. They need to be immersed in it for a vast amount of time. And that then they're learning that is a vital component of having a meaningful learning experience. And this distinction basically is arguing that if it's less than that, for lack of another way to put it, I kind of feel like, do you really want to bother with this? And I think it's a shame because I really think it blocks a lot of incredible possibility. You could barely offer students less time than these classes offer. I think it's really important to realize we have a 5-week course. The students in 270, I'm teaching section of 270 right now. We are in week 3 of 5. This is the week where the students in class discussion are posting their ideas as proposals for approval, right? They have week 4 to put that action into effect. And by week 5, they're creating a presentation and sharing what they did. So there's just no time whatsoever for this. And yet, to me, it seems almost overwhelming. I just don't tell that to students. That's the secret. Don't tell them that you're giving them an impossible task and they will do it. that is, and I know I have at least one student on who I'm sure is laughing at that, but in a way, it really is true. It's amazing what the students accomplish. Absolutely amazing. So I'm reading on here, and I appreciate your comments, Marty. It's great to stretch in the learning environment with less at stake and something that could have dire or large impacts to personal and professional career. Yeah, it's a chance to try something out, to dip your toe in the water. And what I find is that's enough for many students to light a fire under them and get them realizing, wow, I can do this.
Yeah. How do you stop climate change? You start by planting an orange tree at your office and then go from there. And Marty, in light of that last point you make about their professional careers, I imagine that some people, it could enhance their careers, right? They don't just have a degree, but they also have a degree. Plus, this might have been the beginning of getting involved in actually being involved in their field and doing something about the issue, which could be a great resume booster itself. So, William, yeah, I love that point about culturally responsive and empowerment and service and engaging diverse students. As you noticed in 280, that was the number one topic that students engaged in was justice, and that was really great to see and very empowering for them. Clifford, did you want to add to that?
I have a question. So when I went to college, people could do internships, or they could do kind of just individual projects and get course credit for them, which would allow for a deeper kind of engagement in these practices. And I wonder if you ever spoke to anybody at the university about the possibility of allowing for a more long form attempt at doing that and getting some kind of credit. I know it's unconventional, but.
Well, to some extent, that's embodied in the PLA credit concept, which does grant credit. And I am actually not an expert on the original design of the PLA credit. We've adapted it to the honors program to emphasize the 4 pillars of honors and co-curricular experiences such as clubs and talks and things like that. But I know in the original spirit of PLA, there were a lot of things that could be included in that, where students can receive credit for 15 hours of involvement in various communities that speak on that. But it would be great to still play that up even more and encourage more students to consider ways to begin putting their learning into practice while they're here. I agree. There could never be enough of that, because again, it's writing papers, being able to present, very important skills. Can so many students, and I've taught in a variety of universities over many years, and so many students, could never imagine that you ask them to actually do something. So what they'll do is write a paper and tell you about what they would do if they could, and then that's the final paper. You turn it in. Like, well, what's the point of that? You didn't do anything. So now we're going to push you to actually do that, and that is where the world really opens up to the student, and possibilities just flourish, and it ceases to be something that is just academic. Again, to go back to that kind of belittled use of the term. I love the term academics is wonderful. Obviously, we're here, but I do think that as much as we can get students to begin to make difference and take what they're applying and go out and do things, wow, that's so rich. I really encourage folks here that are teaching other classes to consider ways to do that. We'd be more than happy to support that. We're out of time, I know.
Yes, I just want to.
But I will type my email in the chat.
Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, Chris. Just want to thank both of you for presenting on this today, and thank you to everyone who came and participated in today's session. We encourage